our regular Saturday guest at this time, and that's Kevin Minnick from NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com. Kevin, I'm pretty sure you can't think of a week ever in your lifetime that took place and unfolded the way this week did.
No, this has been a very interesting week, a week of questions, and really, just basically you have to just sit back and wait and see what happens next.
Kevin, how did your week unfold? Because really Wednesday night, I guess, was the first domino to fall when the NBA decided to suspend their season. What games had you covered, and when did things come down or change for you when you knew this wasn't just happening elsewhere in the States? This was really going to affect New Jersey.
Well, I figured at some point something was going to have to happen. But the way things have been unfolding around the region, in Pennsylvania and Delaware, all the professional level teams making their decisions, something had to give at some point. So I guess, the games, we go to the games on Wednesday, and Wednesday night we have the two non-public games in South Jersey, with Wildwood Catholic in one and St. Augustine in the other. And then, on Thursday is when things really started to heat up, and we had heard a lot of different things during the course of the day on Thursday. And I was actually headed out to the Group 2 semifinal with Camden and Manasquan down at Toms River at the time, and excuse me, and I got a call about I was actually about a mile from getting to the Atlantic City Expressway when I found out that Manasquan had pulled out of the tournament. So, at that point, every boys game except for one was finished for the day, and it was just a very fluid day. I guess things started probably 9-10 o'clock in the morning with you hearing different things, and basically I spent my Thursday probably 13, 14 hours dealing with games and no games, and this team's out and that team's out, and we're in but we're out, and it was just a kind of a chaotic day, I guess, because things changed very quickly pretty much all day long. So, like everyone else, never have experienced something like this. Obviously have experienced other types of events and types of things that have happened that have, caused some change to the daily schedule and to high school sports, but nothing obviously as impactful as what this has turned out to be.
Kevin Minnick with us here on the Pete Thompson Show, NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com. Follow him on Twitter at KMinnick Sports. So I know on Thursday you were in Deptford for the Ocean City game Thursday night. And what was that scenario like? And you write about this on NJ.com. I mean, just how surreal it is. And if you could describe what the scene was like there.
Yeah, after finding out that the boys' game was canceled, I figured I'll go to something that is still alive, and that was at Deptford. And anybody who's gone to any of these tournament games, especially once you get to the semifinals or a sectional final and moving on to the state semifinal level, is you pull up to the school or the facility and the parking lot's full and people are in line, and you kind of, your expectation of what the day is going to be like is, I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to be walking into. And, you get to Deptford and there's signs up that no fans permitted, and the police officers are out front directing you to a side entrance. And, you walk in the gym and, there's nobody there, fan wise. You have the two teams, you have some selected people that came with the two teams, and obviously administrators and the personnel from the host school at Deptford were there too. But it lacked the madness of that March and this point in the tournament presents. I think both teams did at least in that first game with Ocean City, they were loud, they were clapping, they were into it, but it just lacked something, and obviously, obviously people weren't there, but to look up and see empty bleachers, there was Mike McGarry had made a note to it in a piece that he did as well, and there were girls at the foul line, and the place was you could hear Tom Williams' voice broadcasting for the radio station down for Ocean City, and he wasn't talking very loud, and you could clearly hear him. It was that quiet. So, at this stage of the game, if everything is quote unquote normal, I'm guessing the stands are packed. There's some student sections there, and the place is you probably may not be able to hear yourself think. And it was clearly the opposite, and not what you would clearly expect to find and hear in a state semifinal basketball game.
Kevin, there are folks out there that have criticized NJSIAA Executive Director Larry White for letting things go as far as they did, or for example, maybe that Ocean City game being played or games trying to be played on Thursday night. But do you see the flip side of it as well, that he was trying to get to the finish line and trying to put a cap on the state basketball tournament at a natural ending point?
Yeah, it's a tough call. It really is a tough call. You have your side of things where people are going to say, why are you playing? There's all these other things. Schools are closing down. Professional organizations have stopped playing. Other states have stopped playing. Why are you still playing? And I get that. And, I spoke with Larry White at halftime of that game, and, what he said, I could understand that they were trying to get games in if they were still basically allowed. The governor had made a proclamation, events of 250 people or less should be canceled. Well, there weren't 250 people there. They wanted to play it without the fans, without the people there, so that they could, accommodate that, that reasoning, and still be able to get the games in and get to a point where, hopefully they could at least get to the state final. They're going to be the bad guy regardless. People are not going, they're going to have those people that agree with the decision and those that don't agree with the decision. I can see, part of me says, who in their right mind, what school district in their right mind would want to hold an event like this? Why would they want to do that? And obviously there are a number of districts that did not want to host games. So why would you even want to host a game at this point in time? Why are we even going on? You know what? Let's just cut it off right here. And that was kind of my philosophy. Why are we even going on? This is obviously a very, very unique situation. It's a tough decision to make for anybody. There's going to be people that are going to be on both sides of the fence, regardless of what eventually happens. So let's just call it a day. And you know what? It just happened, and it was nothing anyone could do about it. It was that cut and dry. So, we put a little asterisk down. There's no state champion, and we move on. Now, do we feel for the participants? Do we feel for the kids and the coaches who have put in the time to get to this point from whenever they began, say last June? Sure we do, because obviously you have end goals in mind, and you'd like to see them fulfilled, and you worked so hard to do that, and you're that close to making it happen. People understand that. But on the flip side of that, it's a game. And when the talk of this virus is out there and it's reached a level in government and throughout the world that it has, you got to put things in perspective a little bit more than just say, well, I'll let my kid play. It's a closed gym. There's nobody there. my philosophy with some people who have asked, well, why should they why can't they continue? My philosophy is this: what if something were to happen? What if one kid got sick from however it happened, and what if that one kid was yours? Now, how do you feel? So it's a what if, and there's just no way around it, and there's just no way to definitively say, well, this is not going to happen, this won't happen, that won't happen. You don't know. And because there were so many questions out there and so much, I guess, a lack of information, definitive information, why are you willing to take a chance? It's a game. So, yes, it hurts your feelings. Yes, you're upset that you didn't get a chance to play again. But let's look at the long-term effects. And the bottom line is, what if one kid got sick and one kid had some serious issues down the line? You, as an organization, the NJSIAA can't take that chance. So it got to the point. They got to that point where everyone was pretty much at the same spot. Okay, it's reached this whole coronavirus has now taken on a whole new life of its own. Let's call it a day and move on.
Kevin Minnick with us, NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com. Make sure you read his piece on NJ.com right now. With historic decision, NJSIAA shuts down remainder of state basketball tournaments. And you write in the piece there that the NJSIAA has crowned a state champion in the 4 boys groups since 1943. Non-public champions go all the way back to 1934, and girls champions across all groups were first decided in 1976. So there is history, and this is a historic decision by the NJSIAA, but as Kevin says, the right decision. Now, Kev, I do want to ask you about, because this tweet came across my desk, my Twitter feed this morning, if you will, and Todd tweeted out, at NJSIAA, please do not push the panic button on spring sports. We do not have the ability to offer an extra year of eligibility to our seniors. They deserve our patience and everyone coming together to give them their season. Delay, modify, do not cancel, with a couple of the prayer emojis, the hands in prayer. What is your reaction to that, Kevin Minnick?
I think what you're seeing right now is that the NJSIAA has not reacted to that type of a situation where they said we're shutting it down. And, that's a knee-jerk reaction. There's been a number of conferences out there that have put a halt to scrimmages and games until the end of the month. There's others that other school districts, in fact, that are going to go. I have to assume are going to online learning, and basically kids are not going to be back in buildings right now until April 20th. That's more than a month away. So obviously, I think people are siding on. We're looking at the side of caution. Obviously, all those decisions of that time could change. They could change today. They could change tomorrow. They could bring them back earlier. That's all. It all depends on how the situation, moves on and what happens in the, I guess, with testing and things along those lines for the virus. But, for the NJSIAA today to say we're shutting down the spring would probably be a bad decision, I would think. We do have some time. There is opportunities to modify things. I think, give it 2 weeks, like a lot of people are. Let's see where we're at in 2 weeks. If we're not satisfied where we're at, okay, well then, you know what? Let's give it maybe another 2 weeks, and we'll see again. Obviously, I think it's going. There's going to be a date somewhere down the line that we get to that. If we're not doing something, then I guess we're going to be doing nothing. But I think that I think that there's plenty of time to change some things up, to look at it. is it going to cause some inconvenience? Is it going to cause athletic directors to have to scramble? Yeah, it probably is. But if you want to maintain some semblance of a spring sports season, we got to give it a chance. We're going to have to, probably allow for maybe an extra game a week. We're going to have to, maybe we have to push it a little deeper into June. I know that, in a normal spring season, many non-public schools, obviously St. Augustine, the one that comes to mind, for me because of baseball, those seniors graduate and classes are done 2-3 weeks before the spring season actually is over. So, to say that we have to have kids in school to still be playing, I think we can probably get away with going an extra week, an extra 2 weeks into June if we want to see it through. And if we don't want to go that far, extending the season, well, then we're going to cut it back. So instead of playing potentially, say, 24 games, well, maybe this year we're only going to play 16 or 18. So, like I said before, this is uncharted waters. This is no one's fault. And I'm sure the organizations and the schools are going to do their best to do all they can to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity. And, sadly, if the seniors don't get that opportunity, well, what are you going to do? This is not as if, it's something that has been out there before and we're just going to stop. This is uncharted waters. This is no one's fault. This is something we have never seen before. So, we mark it in our history books, I guess, and kind of move on and hope that it doesn't happen again.
Kevin Minnick with us here on the Pete Thompson Show. So let's close with this. With almost all the sports world, this is my Saturday Twitter question, almost all the sports world shutting down because of the coronavirus, which sport will you miss the most and why?
That's a really hard one for me. You have, I had been a big college basketball fan for a long, long, long time, and got to experience a lot of that. And this is the time that the college basketball season is at its peak. Obviously you're going to miss something like that, and the start of baseball season was just around the corner, and I make no bones about it that baseball's always been my favorite sport, and had been since I was probably 7 or 8 years old. So, I was definitely looking forward to the start of a new baseball season. So, I guess those two things, if they weren't to come back soon, would probably be the two things that would jump out for me. But, it's just different, Pete. And I flipped on the TV before talking to you, and for some reason, I don't know why I had the Golf Channel on, and here, what pops up first is an old Wonderful World of Golf segment that, if you say that to a kid today, they have no idea what you're talking about. And Arnold Palmer and Chichi Rodriguez and Gail Brewer were playing. So, TV's going to be different for a while, and high school's going to be different, and the pros are going to be different. So, it's there's going to be anticipation, but I think it's something that we have no control over. So we just have to wait and see what happens, and let the powers that be, do what they're supposed to do to make sure that everything is safe and good for not only the kids playing, but for the people that want to see the kids play as well.